The vacuum's steady hum echoed through the empty halls of Barrett Technologies as I made my nightly rounds. 15 years of cleaning these offices had taught me every corner, every cubicle, every carelessly discarded secret left in waste paper baskets by executives too important to notice the night janitor. My name is Michael Chen, though most people here just call me the cleaning guy, when they bother to acknowledge me at all. Tonight was different though. Tonight, as I pushed my cleaning cart past the executive offices, I allowed myself a small smile. Tomorrow, everything would change. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. I looked up to find James Barrett Jr., the CEO's son and company VP, barely glancing at me as he rushed past, trailing papers from his briefcase. Classic Jimmy, as the other executives called him, always in a hurry, always dropping things, always expecting someone else to pick up after him. I bent down to collect the scattered documents, my eyes automatically scanning their contents out of habit. Merger proposals, acquisition terms, desperate attempts to save the company his father had built. Poor Jimmy had no idea that every dropped paper, every carelessly discarded draft over the years had helped me piece together Barrett Technologies' deepest secrets. Just leave those on my desk, he called over his shoulder, already typing on his phone as he walked away. I carefully arranged the papers on his desk, adding them to my mental database of company intelligence. The latest financial reports showed exactly what I'd expected. Barrett Technologies was in trouble. Serious trouble. 15 years ago, when I first took this job, I wasn't just a janitor. I had an MBA from Stanford and a small inheritance from my grandmother. But I also had a plan, one that required patience, invisibility, and access to information that no one would willingly share with their competitors. So I became someone they would never notice. Just another face in maintenance coveralls, just another minimum wage worker blending into the background of their important lives. The perfect disguise. Working late again, Mike? Carol from accounting offered me a tired smile as she gathered her things to leave. She was one of the few who bothered to learn my name, who treated me like a human being rather than part of the furniture. Someone's got to keep this place clean, I replied with my practiced humble smile. Well, don't work too hard. Big changes coming tomorrow, from what I hear. Some mystery company buying us out. Is that so? I kept my voice casual, hiding my amusement. Hope they're good employers. Better be. Place won't be the same without the Barretts in charge, she sighed, heading for the elevator. Good night, Mike. If only she knew. As I cleaned the conference room where tomorrow's acquisition meeting would take place, I remembered the first time I realized how invisible I truly was to these people. It was during my second week on the job, cleaning the executive floor late one night. Two senior VPs had been discussing sensitive merger details, never even pausing their conversation as I emptied their trash bins. I was right there, 3 feet away, but to them I didn't exist. I was just part of the building's infrastructure, like the air conditioning or the water pipes. That's when I understood the power of my position. In their arrogance, they had given me the perfect cover. While they focused on their spreadsheets and PowerPoints, I was learning everything about their company, their strengths, their weaknesses, their secrets. I invested my inheritance wisely, using the inside knowledge I gained after hours. Small investments at first, then larger ones as my wealth grew. Shell companies, holding corporations, a complex web of ownership that all led back to me, though nobody knew that, of course. Hey, janitor. I turned to find Marcus Sterling, head of sales, snapping his fingers at me. Classic Marcus, treating everyone below VP level like servants. There's coffee all over my desk. Clean it up. I nodded meekly, grabbing paper towels from my cart. The spill had damaged several documents, merger details, I noticed as I carefully blotted them dry. More pieces of the puzzle I'd been assembling for 15 years. And be careful with those papers, he barked. Confidential business stuff, not that you'd understand. If he only knew how much I understood. How I'd use their own carelessness, their own arrogance, to build something bigger than Barrett Technologies could ever imagine. Later that night in my real office across town, a penthouse suite with a view of the city, I reviewed the final acquisition documents. Tomorrow, Platinum Ridge Capital, my holding company, would acquire Barrett Technologies. The board had already approved the sale, eager for the generous bailout I'd offered. My assistant, Sarah, brought in the latest reports. She was one of only 3 people who knew my true identity. Everything's ready for tomorrow, she said. The lawyers have triple-checked all the paperwork. The press release is prepared, and the photographers will be ready to capture the exact moment they realize who's buying them. I smiled, thinking of James Barrett Jr.'s casual dismissal, Marcus Sterling's condescension, all the executives who had walked past me for 15 years without a second glance. Their faces should be interesting, I said, signing the final documents, especially when they realize how much of their own downfall they shared with just the cleaning guy. Because that was the beautiful irony. While they were busy protecting their secrets from corporate spies and competitor CEOs, they had handed those same secrets to me, piece by piece, night after night. Every confidential document carelessly left on a desk, every late-night conversation they had while I vacuumed nearby, every password casually written on a post-it note and thrown in the trash. It all helped me build my empire. What about the employees? Sarah asked. The ones who weren't part of management's arrogance? Already taken care of, I assured her. Carol from accounting will be promoted to CFO. She has the skills, just never got the chance because she wasn't part of the boys' club. Several other talented people will finally get the recognition they deserve. I stood at my window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, the Barrett Technologies executives were enjoying their last night of complacent superiority. Tomorrow, they would learn that the man they had stepped over, ignored, and dismissed for 15 years was about to become their boss. Their security badges for tomorrow's meeting, I asked. Sarah handed me a stack of fresh ID cards. All set, though I doubt they'll recognize you in a suit instead of coveralls. I picked up James Barrett Jr.'s badge, remembering all the times he'd walked past me without a glance. That's okay. They'll have plenty of time to learn my face now. As I drove home that night to my real house, not the modest apartment listed on my janitor's employment records, I thought about how tomorrow would unfold. The shock on their faces, the dawning realization of how completely they had underestimated me. Because that's the thing about being invisible. It lets you see everything, learn everything, understand everything. While they were busy playing office politics and protecting their turf, I was building something far bigger, something they never saw coming. Tomorrow, they would finally see me, and I had 15 years of receipts to show them. The morning of the acquisition meeting, I stood in my penthouse dressing room, transforming myself from a humble janitor they knew into the CEO I truly was. The maintenance coveralls were replaced by a bespoke suit that cost more than most Barrett executives made in a month. My carefully maintained stooped posture straightened into one of natural authority. Sarah arrived with my briefing documents, a hint of excitement in her usually professional demeanor. The Barrett executives are already gathering in the conference room. James Jr. just complained to 3 people that the cleaning staff did a terrible job last night. I smiled, adjusting my tie. Did he notice that his office wasn't cleaned at all? He did. Threw quite a tantrum about it. She paused, checking her tablet. The photographers are in position and the security team has been briefed. Everyone's ready for your entrance. The Barrett Technologies headquarters looked different in the morning light. For 15 years, I'd only seen these halls after hours, empty except for security guards and fellow maintenance staff. Now the building buzzed with nervous energy as employees whispered about the mysterious buyer. I took the executive elevator, the same one I'd been told never to use as a janitor, to the top floor. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I could see them all gathered. James Barrett Jr., Marcus Sterling, and the rest of the executive team who had spent years looking through me. They just asked security where the Platinum Ridge representatives are, Sarah murmured. James Jr. is particularly anxious about being kept waiting. Perfect. I straightened my shoulders. Let's not keep him waiting any longer. The room fell silent as I walked in. For a moment, there was only confusion on their faces, the vague discomfort of people trying to place a familiar face in an unfamiliar context. Where are the Platinum Ridge executives? James Jr. demanded, not even bothering to look at me properly. We've been waiting for 20 minutes. I walked calmly to the head of the table, setting my briefcase down with a quiet click. I am Platinum Ridge Capital, I said simply. Marcus Sterling frowned. I'm sorry, who are you exactly? You know me as Mike, I replied, enjoying the way their eyes widened. The night janitor. Though my real name is Michael Chen, CEO of Platinum Ridge Capital and your new owner. The silence that followed was absolute. James Jr.'s face had gone pale, his mouth opening and closing without sound. Marcus Sterling had knocked over his water glass, but didn't even notice the liquid spreading across his papers. This is a joke, James Jr. finally managed. You're the cleaning guy. The janitor. Was the janitor, I corrected him. For 15 years, while you were all too busy feeling important to notice the man cleaning your offices, I was learning everything about this company. Every secret, every weakness, every opportunity you missed because of your own arrogance. I opened my briefcase, removing a stack of familiar papers. For instance, these merger proposals you kept dropping, James. Did you ever wonder why those deals kept falling through? My companies bought out your potential partners before you could close the deals. James Jr. slumped in his chair as recognition finally hit him. All those failed mergers were orchestrated by me, I confirmed. Just like the client losses that forced your stock price down. The strategic missteps that cost you market share. I knew your playbook because you never bothered to hide it from just the cleaning guy. Marcus Sterling's face had turned an interesting shade of red. You spied on us. That's illegal. Spied? I laughed softly. I simply paid attention to what you willingly shared, like those confidential reports you left on your desk every night, or those late-night strategy meetings you held while I vacuumed nearby. You never even paused your conversations when I was in the room. I was invisible to you. I pressed a button, and the screen behind me lit up with years of photographs. Documents left in plain sight, conversations held in my presence, passwords carelessly discarded in trash bins. Your arrogance was your downfall, I continued. You were so busy watching out for corporate spies and competitor CEOs that you never noticed the perfect spy was already inside your offices, wearing a maintenance uniform and carrying a mop. Why? James Jr. whispered. Why go to all this trouble? Because 15 years ago, when I first started working here, I learned something valuable about people like you. You judge someone's worth by their title, their clothes, their position. You never consider that the person emptying your trash might have an MBA from Stanford, or that the man cleaning your coffee spills might understand your business better than you do. I stood up, straightening my jacket. As of this morning, Platinum Ridge Capital owns 51% of Barrett Technologies. The board approved the sale last week, though I'm sure you all knew that, even if you didn't know who the buyer was. You can't do this, Marcus protested weakly. You're just a janitor. I finished for him. Not anymore. Now I'm your boss, and there are going to be some changes around here. I nodded to Sarah, who began distributing new documents. First, the executive team is being restructured. James, Marcus, your services are no longer required. Your severance packages are detailed in those folders. You're firing us? James Jr. sputtered. Consider it karma. Oh, and James, next time someone tells you they cleaned up a coffee spill on your desk, you might want to thank them. They may end up buying your company one day. As the stunned executives filed out, some already calling their lawyers, I turned to the remaining employees in the room. Carol from accounting, congratulations on your promotion to CFO. You've earned it. Carol's eyes widened in shock, then understanding. All those times we talked during your night shifts. I saw your potential, I confirmed. Just like I saw how this company wasted talent because they were too focused on maintaining their boys' club. The next few hours were a blur of paperwork, press releases, and restructuring announcements. By afternoon, business news channels were running the story. Night janitor revealed as billionaire CEO in shocking corporate takeover. Later that evening, as I sat in what had been James Barrett Jr.'s office, Sarah brought in a familiar cleaning cart. For old time's sake, she suggested with a smile. I stood up, running my hand along the cart I'd pushed for 15 years. You know what the best revenge is, Sarah? What's that? Knowing that every time they tell this story, and they will tell this story, they'll have to admit that they handed their company to their janitor, piece by piece, simply because they thought he wasn't worth noticing. I looked out at the city skyline, now visible from my new office. They spent 15 years stepping over me, around me, through me, never realizing I was actually moving up, one cleaned office at a time. The next morning, as employees filed into work, they found their office spotless, personally cleaned by their new CEO. And on James Barrett Jr.'s old desk, now mine, sat a cleaning cart nameplate with a new inscription. Michael Chen, CEO, previously known as just the cleaning guy. Because sometimes the best way to rise to the top isn't to climb the corporate ladder, it's to quietly clean it, one rung at a time, while everyone else is too busy looking down to notice you looking up.